How you doing? We're back again. This is MDT talking about the 1001 albums that you're supposed to listen to before you die. All of these albums, by the way, come from a book, which has also been turned into a website where you can be sent one of these albums Monday to Friday. And that website is 1001albumsgenerator.com if you want to try it out. The 5 albums this week were a very mixed bag. And the first one was A Different Class by Pulp in 1994.
5.
I've got it 1994. Maybe I mistyped.
No, there's no maybe. You fucking did. It's 1995.
Yeah. Bit of a shoe in this one, isn't it, for us? I mean, I think I was a massive Pulp fan when I was at school, and this was the album that made Pulp massive.
I wasn't a massive fan at the time, but I did like it. It was actually an ex-girlfriend gave it to me. You know the way when you opened the CD book, it said, read the lyrics without...
Yeah, without listening.
She had put a greeting somewhere inside it. To Morgan, Happy Christmas 1995. And I said, oh, fuck, that's not part of the lyrics. No.
Sweet.
Yeah. Pulp. Morgan's very own man.
Is that Pulp? You could just do me a favour, could you?
This is the second Pulp album we've done.
It is. Jarvis Cocker must be bleeding running this show.
I didn't realise Pulp had been going since 1983.
Yeah. Well, they broke for years when he went to university.
I wasn't a Pulp fan. I was just surprised at how many tracks I knew off of it.
My favourite song on this album is Live Bed Show. I think that's such a gorgeous song. It has such a lovely middle eight.
My favourite's I Spy. I just loved it. I heard it before I heard the album. It was on one of those, you know, Q used to do those mix CDs.
Yes.
Yeah, it was on one of those. It was, and I was like, "Oh, this is great," because it sounded like a Russian James Bond film.
I wasn't that keen on that actually. I Spy, or Feeling Called Love. I mean, I like the FEELING.
Yeah,
like spelling it out. That's quite fun.
That was the one that I really liked as well. Feeling Called Love, because it had to start with. It had like a weird Gary Newman Kraftwerk feel, and it was like halfway through they just thought, nah, fuck it, let's go back to what we know, and then just launch back into being Pulp again.
The dynamics are pretty cool in Feeling Called Love, I suppose, because it has that. It starts out really quiet, doesn't it? It's very whispery.
Yeah.
The room is cold. It's been like this for several weeks.
Yeah.
That's something about where he really does that creepy, seedy,
breathy.
Yeah. He has a really great turn of phrase. It's one of the only things that I can think of that I'm happy about being English for.
Yeah.
It's that quirky sense of humor. Exactly. I know. It is very niche nowadays. I have to get that small. Yeah. Most of it is tinged with a bit of...
so much.
I actually prefer the album before it, but the scoring's a bit restrictive, isn't it? But 5.
Fucking hell, Steve opening with a 5. Mog?
I gave it a 3.
3?
Yeah, I think it's an album of its time. I don't feel the need to listen to the whole album again. And I'm fucking sick of Disco 2000.
I gave it a 4. It's Pulp's version of Park Life, isn't it? All a same sort of central tone and themes, but like different takes on it. I really enjoyed it again. Mind you, it's been a long time since I've heard it, and I haven't bumped into Disco 2000 in a while as well.
When I was in sixth form, we did this fashion show with the help of Miss Selfridge and something like JD Sports. And we had these blocks like a rostrum, and everybody in the school came to watch, and we did these like little dance routines, and I did a whole Jarvis Cocker impression for the whole of Common People.
That's awesome.
One other thing, class is a British obsession. Most of the lyrics in this song are written from a very working class point of view.
The thing is about this album, more than class, it sets out his obsession with the townies versus the countercultural types.
Yeah.
You know, I think Misshapes is the first track on the album. It's all about them versus us. You know, we're the ones who are thoughtful, and we've got our minds and our words, and they've got the club and the girls and all the rest of it. All right.
Right.
The second album we listened to on Tuesday of last week was To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar, which came out, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 2015.
Yes, you got it right.
Quite different proposition entirely.
It definitely wasn't Number of the Beast.
No, but the minute I saw that it had Thundercat on it, I was like, yeah. That opening, was that not just pure Parliament? It was amazing. Yeah. And George Clinton ends up talking in it.
Declaring his love for a young maiden.
How did they get the president?
Fuck.
That is a great opening track, Total Flying Lotus. I really like his delivery. He sounds like he's actually properly got something to say, which,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of the time it's just people just talking for the sake of it.
I fucking loved it. I'd never heard it before. And this was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was grand.
So he jammed with Prince to put something on this album, and they ran out of fucking time before they could do something. But they had like a load of stuff that they recorded, but didn't have time to put it on the album before they put it out.
Do you know who's a fan? Quincy Jones. That's really saying something.
Well, he doesn't like much. Michael Jackson, everything else.
Not a big fan.
Very much great hits.
So what did you give this album?
I gave it a 3, and I'm kind of sorry now I gave it a 3. I should have given it a 4. Because on the day I listened to it, I thought, you know, that was a bit long. I just found myself wandering a bit, and just, you know.
Did you get to the track called I? Amazing Isley Brothers guitar in it.
What did you give it, Drew?
I went hard and gave it a 5. It's one of the best fucking albums I've heard in a long time. It was just as a first listen as well. I remember banging on about the Kanye West album the other week, but this just is different fucking gravy.
Okay, so I think it's fair to say we all have a bit of an appreciation for this album. The title of this album is very fucking misleading. It's not The Genius of Ray Charles. Like, where's Hit the Road, Jack?
The Genius of Ray Charles by Ray Charles came out in 1959. This is early. I mean, 1959.
His first album came out in 1957.
What was that called? The Intelligence?
No. But the second one was The Great Ray Charles. He fucking clearly done his homework. This is his 7th album in 2 years.
Okay. Where's Baby What I Say?
The first 5 tracks of this album, I fucking loved. That big band, Count Basie feel. I fucking loved it.
Are these standards, or did he write them?
I think he only wrote about 2 songs on that whole album.
When it starts, it is very slick and big band. The songs are just a bit, dull. Especially as Mog says, when you're expecting a little bit of sass, which you know Ray Charles for, and he's just going to be doing some lounge versions.
He was with Atlantic at the time. I think they were just trying to churn albums out of him.
Or post heroin addiction?
I have no idea. I saw Ray, but I can't remember it.
Hold on, he had a heroin addiction. I suppose he was rich enough to have somebody hit him up, right? Because like doing that shit when you're blind is fucked up, man.
Maybe he was so rich, he'd just get a massive gold spoon of it.
It's hot.
It's horse. It's horse. It's horse. It's horse. It's the lip smacking.
I'm gonna lay down for a while. Okay, I gave this album a 2.
Yeah, I gave it a number 2 as well.
Now, I gave it a 3 for that first side, but it should be a 2.5.
Next one, Grant Lee Buffalo. Now, I thought this was one guy.
Me too. And I thought that bloke was Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
I was aware of this album when it came out because Michael Stipe was a big fan of theirs. So I paid attention to Fuzzy when it came out, 93. Because I was a massive REM fan at the time. I remember the singles Fuzzy and America Snoring, and they're good. I mean, Fuzzy still sounds great, I think.
Fucking critics loved this. Every magazine you picked up, it was a proper darling of the critics at the time. When it came on, I just thought, this sounds early 90s dirgy. But I listened to it about 2 or 3 times, and the more I listened to it, the more I liked it.
Really?
Yeah, and it really grew on me. And I thought, okay, this is good. It wasn't grunge. It had a more mature feel.
Americana, is that what you call it?
The only track that I'd ever heard of was the second one, was it Jupiter and Teardrop?
The David Bowie one. Bum, bum. I'm an alligator. Oh, no, that's not the right song.
That first one's really out of kilter with the rest of the album, The Shining Hour. It sounded almost like the Levelers to me. Yeah, I know.
One David Bowie one, otherwise a bit boring. 2.
Right. No, I liked it. I gave it a What, two? Fuck's
Two.
sake. That's really two. Fuck's
Two.
sake. That's really two. Fuck's
Two.
sake. That's really harsh. I gave it a 4 because I'm sure with a bit more listens, I would actually really like it.
My favourite track on it was track 8, Dixie Drugstore. But that said, I still gave it 2.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Shit.
I was a bit of a miserable prick on Thursday, to be fair.
That's just one of the caveats about this game that we're doing here. You can be in a shit ass mood and somebody sends you an album and you go, oh, for fuck.
Yeah.
Especially while you're working.
You get an email from one person, Nick Hayward's a cunt. Turns out he's also the singer of Haircut 100. Yeah. One of my favorite bands ever, License to Ill by the Beastie Boys. Far from my favorite Beastie Boys album. It's still great. It's fucking brilliant, but it's not at all the Beastie Boys we know now. Like,
Was this their first album?
this was their very first album, produced by Rick Rubin. They were
Really?
kids. This sold millions.
I bought a copy of Ill Communication that followed me around everywhere. And I lent it to a really good friend of mine, and he sold his fucking car with my CD in it. That very same weekend, we both got invited to a party at someone's house, and I made him steal that dude's copy of Ill Communication to give to me. That's how fucking chavvy I was.
Scumbag.
Also, was this back in the days when a CD was about £20?
The copy that I got off of him, I think that still might have even had like the Tower Records price thing on it. Oh,
License to Ill. It sounds really dated. The guitar sounds that they use on it just, sounds like that totally 80s metal sound.
Kerry King from Slayer.
yeah.
Oh, is it?
Track 9, Paul Revere. Just quite simply one of the greatest hip hop tracks of all time.
Oh, yeah.
What? Do you fucking come round there? When's that last train, you cunt?
License to Ill, I gave it a 4.
In the context of all the other Beastie Boys albums, it's a 4.
Yeah, the samples on it are really good. I do really like them, but I find it a bit tiring listening to a whole album of them doing their shout vocal. I gave that a 3. Those were the albums from this week. Next week, we'll be listening to and talking a lot of shit about another 5 records.
Yeah, we will.
I knew this was going to be this type of party. I put my dick in the mashed potato.
What?